This has been absolutely heinous and horrific, something that the normal investigator, the normal prosecutor doesn't anticipate. So it's been very hard for everyone. The innocence of the child, the brutality of the act.
Josephina, or Josie as she was called, Cunningham, was born on July 25, 2019, to her mother, Lakeisha Stewart, and her father, Joseph Cunningham. She also had 3 older brothers. Little Josie had been born prematurely and with a hole in her heart. But she was a tough little girl who quickly grew strong, and the hole in her heart ended up closing up as she got older. Josephina was said to be a girly girl who had the best smile, and she dreamed of being a firefighter when she got older. She also enjoyed spending time with her big brother, Jaquan Stewart, singing, especially the song Baby Shark, and she was also very imaginative. Josephine was additionally said to be confident, loving, intelligent, and full of energy. 3-year-old Josephina lived with her mother, Lakeisha, in Rensselaer, New York, which is close to Albany. On the night of July 6, 2023, Josephina's mother, Lakeisha, decided to leave her in the care of her new boyfriend while she took a trip to Walmart. The mother had only been dating this man, who was named Robert Fisher, for a week at that point, when she left Josie alone with him for the first time. Lakeisha had actually only known Robert for a few days longer than that, as she had only met him a few days prior to them beginning to date. And she had met him because his sister actually lived next door to her and her daughter. Later that evening, when Lakeisha returned back from Walmart around 8 p.m., she would find her daughter Josie sleeping peacefully in her bed. So Lakeisha decided that she was going to head off to bed herself, but before she did, she took her daily medication. In the middle of the night, Lakeisha would wake up and discover that her boyfriend Robert was no longer lying in bed next to her. She made her way into the living room, where she found him lying naked on the couch, scrolling through his phone. She didn't ask any questions, just decided to cover him up with a towel and then return back to bed herself. Then just the next morning, on July 7th, 2023, when Lakeisha woke up, she would discover little Josie lying lifeless in her bed, and she immediately contacted emergency services. Josie was covered in blood, and she was foaming from the mouth. The sheets that she was lying on were also covered in blood. Additionally, her body had light blue spots all over it. And it was later discovered that these spots of discoloration were a result of her skin pigment being removed from Clorox wipes. Authorities would also find Clorox wipes inside of her. As soon as first responders arrived on the scene, Josephina was taken to First Albany Medical Center, where she would be pronounced dead.
When our initial responders showed up to the scene and they made contact with Josephina, they described her as being laid in bed on her back with her hands folded across her torso as if she was staged.
Now, Lakeisha's boyfriend Robert was arrested right at the scene after he had tried to re-enter the home while detectives were there investigating, trying to interfere with their investigation. He was charged with obstruction of justice, rape, and murder, and he was brought in for questioning. It would be discovered that Robert had actually crushed up some of Josephina's mother's medication, then put it into a sippy cup for the toddler. After he'd done this, he had his way with her, which resulted in her death. And after Robert committed his horrendous crime, he decided that he was going to try to cover it up by cleaning her off with Clorox wipes. Though I don't know what he really expected was going to happen. What did he think detectives were just going to not notice that Josie had also been violently assaulted? It was determined that Josephina had died as a result of SA and acute intoxication by the combined effects of alprazolam, which is an anxiety medicine, and olanzapine, which is used to treat schizophrenia. Now, as I had said, the night before Lakeisha found her daughter dead, she had seen her boyfriend lying on the living room couch naked, and she had covered him up with a towel. But little did she know, he was actually lying there erasing pictures after he had done this atrocious thing to her little 3-year-old. When police searched the home, they would find bloody baby shark sheets in Josie's room and Robert's bloody underwear, along with countless bloody towels. Now, Josephina's older brother, Jaquan Stewart, said that he had always felt rather uneasy about his mother's new boyfriend, Robert. He had just met him a few days prior to Josephina's murder, and he didn't get a good feeling at all. Jaquan said, Something felt a little off inside when I first met him. It was a little off. I just felt something in my gut. I never saw my mother with a white guy before. Maybe that's why. But I never spoke to her about her relationship. It was like she was hypnotized. She was too deep in love with him. It was actually kind of strange. His concerns had grown even further when he had found out that Robert associated with a known sex offender. Following Josephina's death, there was also a woman named Mary Ann Moses who came out and spoke about Robert. She said that she had known Robert Fisher and his family for decades, and Mary Ann had offered Robert a temporary place to stay when he had gotten paroled in 2021 for an attempted burglary charge. She thought that he was on the right path and let him live with her and her family. However, she had caught Robert cornering a child in her home, and she had immediately contacted police and had him removed from her house that very day. Now, Robert doesn't have any past convictions related to children. However, given the brutality of his crime against Josie, it's highly unlikely that it was his first time. And it's likely there are more victims of Robert's out there. During his arraignment in court, Robert Fisher would plead not guilty. But then, just 2 weeks prior to his trial, he decided to change his mind and take the deal that prosecutors were offering him. And instead, he pled guilty to his charges. He was then given the sentence of 20 years to life.
We felt the plea was necessary because we needed to know what happened. And in order to have Mr. Fisher allocute, we offered him 20 to life.
But Josephina's family was not happy with the plea deal that Robert was given because they wanted to see him face the death penalty. Additionally, Josephina's older brother, Jaquan, wanted to see Robert go to trial so that he could hear the details of his sister's murder, as he believed that this would open up more attention to her case and possibly lead to new laws being written. Jaquan said, "I want him to pay for what he did. I want him to get the death penalty. People that commit these crimes, they need to pay. They need to get the death penalty. This crime was really heinous. It was really heinous. I want the world to see. They need to be in shock. They need to know they can't be doing stuff like this." Josephina's family believes that maybe Robert decided to change his plea at the last minute because he couldn't face her family in court, and they called him a coward. And it also seems like Jaquan does not blame his mother, Lakeisha, for leaving his 3-year-old sister alone with her new boyfriend, as he says that they still have a great mother and son relationship to this day. Josephina's funeral service was held on Friday, July 21st, 2023, at the W.J. Lyons Jr. Funeral Home in Rensselaer, New York, and she was later cremated.
911, what is your emergency?
There is a child. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at North Olmsted Giant Eagle. I don't know what happened to him.
Okay, what exactly is going on?
There's a kid. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at Giant Eagle. He's outside. We're in the parking lot right now.
Julian Miles Wood, also called Juju, was born on October 29, 2020, to Jared and Margot Wood. He had one older brother and one younger sister. Julian was said to be rambunctious, had a great laugh. He was said to be a sweet little boy who was obsessed with his new baby sister, and Julian also loved playing and wrestling with his older brother. Julian also loved attending preschool and learning new things. His favorite color was green, and he absolutely loved dinosaurs. On the afternoon of June 2nd, 2024, Julian and his mother Margot went to the grocery store to get the household's weekly shopping done. They drove to the Giant Eagle, which wasn't far from their home, located on Lorraine Ave in North Olmsted. When they arrived and entered the store, Margot put Julian in the front of one of the shopping carts. As Julian and his mother were going about their business and picking out their groceries, suddenly a woman who was holding a knife started walking towards them. Margot continued pushing the cart right by her. But just as they barely passed the stranger, the woman stopped in her tracks, turned around, and began following Margot and Julian. As Margot went to pay for her groceries, little did she know that the woman who had been following her and her son was now waiting for them near the exit of the store. So when Margot and Julian, who was still in the shopping cart, passed by her yet again on their way out of the grocery store, she again began to follow them out into the parking lot this time. Likely unaware that they were being followed, Margot casually wheeled Julian over to their red hatchback in the busy parking lot. She popped open her trunk and was about to begin loading the groceries inside, when suddenly, out of nowhere, the woman from the grocery store unleashed a vicious attack. She began savagely stabbing Margot and Julian with a knife, a mother and son whom she had never met, and for no apparent reason. And it all happened so fast that nobody who was sitting in their cars or standing nearby was even able to stop it. And then, just as quickly as the attack had started, it stopped, and the stranger turned around and just walked away. Horrified witnesses, both customers and staff from the Giant Eagle who had witnessed the scene, began immediately calling 911.
What is your emergency?
There was a child. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at North Olmsted Giant Eagle. I don't know what happened to him.
Okay, what exactly is going on?
There's a kid. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at Giant Eagle. He's outside. We're in the parking lot right now.
Okay, is the child conscious and breathing?
Is he breathing? I don't know. They're doing CPR on him.
They're doing CPR?
Yes, right now.
Okay, hold on 1 second. North Olmsted units, be advised there's a child that is possibly injured. They're doing CPR on him now. Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you for a couple more minutes. I have officers en route. I'm going to get a couple more things from you, okay?
Okay. I didn't see it. I just heard them yelling, and then we were on break in my car. I work at Giant Eagle right now.
Okay. 911, what is your emergency?
There's a lady with a knife stabbing somebody in the north.
Where?
The Giant Eagle.
She's stabbing somebody?
She's stabbing. She's walking
North Olmsted units, start responding to North Olmsted Giant Eagle. We have several calls of somebody with a knife trying to stab people.
Right there, stop.
Do you have a description of her?
Yeah, she's a black female. We got eyes on her. She's walking towards Lorraine.
Okay, she's outside now?
She's outside walking
Okay.
with a knife in hand.
This is going to be a black female walking towards Lorraine Road with a knife.
Black shirt, black leggings.
All black?
Right here, you're not going to follow. All
Is,
black.
is anybody injured?
Yeah, somebody's injured. I think this kid was stabbed and the mother's holding.
Okay, hold on a minute. Have you sat in? What else does she look like?
She's a black, tall female wearing black leggings, black T-shirt. She's actually walking towards Silver Center on Geppetto.
My caller said she can see her now. She's walking out over closer to Geppetto's
She's literally got a knife in her right hand.
Okay.
10-4 affirmative. Now she's walking towards Dover.
Okay.
Get out of the way. Stop right there.
Ma'am, don't hang up the phone. I'm just going to keep you on hold. I got to get an ambulance heading there, okay?
Little Julian was lying on the pavement in the parking lot. He was badly wounded and bleeding to death. His mother, Margot, was also injured, but not nearly to the extent that Julian was. Witnesses had rushed over to the mother and son and attempted to help slow the bleeding while they waited for the first responders to arrive. When the paramedics did arrive just minutes later at 3:06 p.m., Margot pleaded with them to not worry about her and just tend to Julian. First responders then administered CPR to Julian, loaded him into an ambulance, and brought both him and his mother to a nearby hospital. Margot would end up surviving her injuries, but unfortunately, it was too late for little Julian, and as he was being put into the back of the ambulance, the first responders realized that he had no pulse. He had received multiple stab wounds to both his face and back.
Squad's pulling up now. The scene in the parking lot was devastating as the body cam captures emergency crews working tirelessly to resuscitate 3-year-old Julian as he clings on to life.
I believe so, yeah. Get that off. Good. Good. All right. Is there a halo chest on it? Okay. Is there anything else on the face? All right. Trauma naked. Good?
Let's go.
Yes, all Westlake guys.
Ready?
Let me know when you're ready.
Let's get him on the car.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. Here we go. All right, you ready? Ready? Ready, 3? Somebody get feet, 2. Ready? Get the somebody up. Go. Go. Good. Good.
We're going to get our pads on.
Okay.
Medic, come in here and relieve him. Yeah, from back. Medic, come in and relieve him of his chest compression.
You got this. Get him on out. Go take her to a car right now. Hey, somebody go get Mom. She doesn't you see this. Ready? Here you go. Are you Mom? Where are you sitting?
Meanwhile, the woman who had just stabbed 3-year-old Julian, 32-year-old Bianca Ellis, was found walking down a road just a short distance away. Police pulled up behind her, and with their guns drawn, they arrested the vile woman. Bianca was even still holding the bloody knife when police found her.
Crossfire.
211, I need a car to go help the kid. These are the first couple aisles.
Where's your cuffs? You got cuffs? Who's got cuffs?
Slow down.
Hold on. We're good.
All right. Yep. Okay.
Ken, you want me to go to the female or Giant Eagle?
Go to the female
that you have. She's in the first 3 rows farthest north. Copy, I will be up.
You got a med kit?
Okay. Roll her on the side. You're good. Who's got a med kit with her?
You gotta get her up.
We have a female in custody.
Are you bleeding? Are you hurt anywhere?
Female in custody, 1504.
Nice right there.
5217, I'm out.
Let's get her up.
Here you go, man. Hold you up, okay? Grab your other arm.
Do you have someone there with you?
We're going to lift you up, okay?
Stand up, okay?
1, 2, 3, stand up. Stand up. Come on.
En route. 14's en route with the med kit.
All right, let's put her in the back of my car.
Hang on, I'm going to check her right here.
Let's go to Giant Eagle.
Okay.
Fire's been dispatched. I'm phone to the lot.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Walk her back this way.
52 LO3, I got 3 units. 1719 myself at Giant Eagle. In the parking lot, third aisle, if you got EMS coming.
Bianca had actually been in the lobby of the North Olmsted police station about a half hour prior to the attack. She was in the police station that day because she said that the police had kept her cash when she had been arrested a few days prior. Bianca, however, was told that they didn't have anything of hers. She then left and suddenly ditched her wheelchair, then happily skipped over to the Volunteers of America thrift store, which was right near the Giant Eagle. There was no indication of what was to come while she was at the police station. Bianca had left calmly and without any incident. Once she was at the thrift store, Bianca was said to have stolen 2 knives. After she stole these knives, she was seen pacing back and forth on security camera in front of the Giant Eagle, like she was thinking about what she was going to do next. Later, at 2:58 that afternoon, Bianca had headed inside the grocery store, brandishing one of her newly stolen weapons. And it was then that she had randomly picked out who her victims were going to be. Shortly after Bianca entered the grocery store, you can see here she's walking around casually holding the knife and swinging it in her hand. And nobody seems to even notice. In total, Bianca was only in the Giant Eagle for about a minute and a half. Back at the scene of the stabbing, there were multiple witnesses who were speaking with police and telling them what they had seen. All of the witnesses were saying that the attack seemed to be completely random. Bianca had walked up to Julian and his mother, and without saying a single word, she had begun to stab both of them. One witness told police that he had watched the attacker as she was trying to get away, and he had made the decision that that was not going to happen. So the man got into his car and followed her, calling 911 so he could report her every move.
This is not okay for anybody to see. All right. Name, address, date of birth, driver's license, phone number. We'll take care of this. We'll go in a little while. If you need more room, go to the back. Thank you. No, yeah, thank you. Happened out here?
My understanding.
Does this take place out here? Not right here?
Right here. Right there?
Literally right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Okay. Did you see this?
Sean, what do you need help with?
We got statements rolling. We got Luke washing his hands up. We have him grabbing his camera. We got to secure this area right now.
Yep.
Yeah. And just stab. Did she say anything?
No,
Anything?
I didn't hear anything. I had my windows out. I didn't hear anything. All I heard was just screaming, and the lady grabbed her child up out the cart, and that's when it fell over, and they collapsed over here, and the lady just continued to walk off, and that's when everybody just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I got out. The one guy, he said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to go look." I came about halfway, and I saw her trying to get away, so I hopped in the car and chased her down.
Okay.
To almost where that white building is.
Yeah.
That's when I called 911, and like literally 30 seconds later, you guys showed up.
Okay. All right, cool. So the kid was in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it was in the car fell over?
Yeah.
Are there any witnesses that we need to have our medics talk to or anything? Just a pretty traumatic event.
If anybody, it's going to be him.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's asking for it, but judging by what he saw, I won't be surprised.
Okay. You live in the city or?
After Julian and his mother had been transported to the hospital, you can see on police body cam footage Julian's father arriving on the scene and frantically asking police if his son was okay.
Is that your son?
Yes.
Okay, come here. We're going to have somebody take you to the hospital, all right? Okay, we're going to have you take you to the hospital.
I'm parked over there.
No, you can leave your car over
Where's
there.
your keys at?
I have my keys right here.
Where's your car at?
It's the truck that's parked facing this way. I'm taking him down.
Yeah, I'll be right there. I'll get your keys so you don't worry about it.
The little boy's murder had happened for no reason at all and left police horrified and frustrated. Especially given the fact that almost as soon as Bianca had been arrested, she refused to talk and hired a lawyer. Bianca Ellis was originally only charged with aggravated murder, and she was held on a $1 million bond. However, during her initial court hearing, the charges of murder, attempted murder, felonious assault, endangering children, tampering with evidence, and misdemeanor theft were all added, and her bail amount was raised to $5 million. She pleaded not guilty to all the charges. As of right now, Bianca's trial is tentatively set for December 9th, 2024, and her final pretrial hearing is scheduled for November 7th. During the initial hearing, Bianca had actually appeared via video feed, and she had held her head down for most of the time. The judge tried to ask her questions, and she refused to answer any of them. After that, she was ordered to personally appear in the courtroom, which she would do on June 10th. During the court hearing, Bianca was seen smiling at times as the judge spoke about the case. At times, almost laughing. At one point during the hearing, she even turned towards the camera and grinned. Bianca's defense attorney is claiming that she has notable mental health issues. Yeah, I'd say. Also during this hearing, Julian's father, Jared, pleaded for the judge to do anything he could to keep this monster behind bars.
That day, 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son or anything that my wife and I, even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous.
Prosecutors have also since announced that they will be seeking the death penalty for Bianca Ellis. Since Julian's murder, it was revealed that Bianca had a criminal record dating back several months and in 3 different states. In January, she was arrested in Bakersfield, California on 3 counts of battery for allegedly assaulting 3 people. The following month, February, she reportedly told workers at the shelter where she was staying in Cleveland that she had killed a woman while she was in California. Staff had called police after hearing this out of Bianca's mouth, and when police arrived and spoke with her, she told them that not only had she killed somebody in California, but she wanted to kill again and eat that person's flesh. She told police that she had killed a bartender, then thrown her into a creek. Bianca vividly described what this woman had looked like. After this confession, police had her transferred to a local hospital for a mental health evaluation. And once she was at the hospital, Bianca became very aggressive and began trying to fight police, doctors, and nurses. Now, I couldn't find exactly what came of that mental health evaluation, but I assume not much. The authorities in California would end up determining that Bianca's confession to killing a person was not credible because it was inconsistent with any of their unsolved cases. Hopefully, they're now looking further into that, just in case. By March of 2024, just a month after the last incident, Bianca was again arrested. This time, she was in Kissimmee, Florida. She had booked a hotel room, but upon her arrival, did not have the money to pay for that hotel room. When the front desk clerk told her that she did not have enough money and would not be able to rent a room for the night, Bianca became very upset, and when she was asked to leave, she refused. She would end up spending a month in jail for trespassing in regards to this case. Then, just days before Bianca had killed Julian on May 29th, she'd been found sitting in a wheelchair at a bus stop in Cleveland. When police spoke with her, they realized that there was a warrant out for her arrest. She was then taken into custody. The police body cam footage shows Bianca nearly dancing and excitedly saying, "I'm getting a free ride." Yeah, but to jail.
Hello.
Hi.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm going over here to the bus stop.
You're okay though? Somebody called because they were concerned about you.
Yeah, I kind of get lightheaded from my medicine.
5221, I'm out. Do you need assistance at all? Or you need an ambulance or anything? Are you feeling all right?
No, I think the temperatures is getting to be just right.
Okay. Do you have an ID on you just so I can tell them that you're all right? Are you from around here or are you trying to get out of here?
Both.
Both? Thank you. 5221 on 3. You staying around here right now or no? Run and advised. Have that back. Just give us a few seconds and then get you on your way, hopefully. Yeah, I guess somebody drove by you and wanted to make sure that you were good. Which is nice of them to, you know.
Yeah, because my phone said.
Your phone's dead?
Yep, sure is.
Huh? Should have gone into, you could go into like the mall and charge it for a bit.
That's what I was thinking, but you know what? I have to figure out how to get, what's really going to get me around there.
In the mall?
Yeah, because I'm already too tired.
Yeah, or if you go back that way towards Walmart.
I went to Walmart. I also went there. They don't have the case. The cord, they got the cord. They don't have the box.
Go ahead. Copy. All right, Bianca, you know you got warrants. Girl, I don't know. They're
probably for here,
yeah. Yeah, so we gotta check on those, all right? You got anything crazy on you? No guns, knives, drugs, bombs? Nothing like that? All right, I'm gonna check. Are you able to stand at all?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you have any medical problems going on right now?
No.
You take any drugs, any alcohol?
No.
You pregnant?
So, what do you need me to do? You need me to get
All right, yeah, can you stand up for me?
Yeah.
Copy. Is it within pickup? Let me know. All right. You got anything on you at all? We're going to come back to my car, okay? He'll grab your bag in a second. Right to this first one up here, okay? Negative medical, negative intox. All right, you got anything in your pockets, girl? Right here.
I don't have pockets.
You don't got pockets? All right, I'm going to check, okay? Nothing in your bra? All right, I'm going to cuff you in the front, okay? That's fair? Go ahead, face me for a second. Right here. Thank you, ma'am. I don't want to pinch you. Let me lock them so they don't tighten up on you, okay?
Yeah.
There anything crazy in your bag? 'Cause we gotta look in it before it gets in our car, okay?
Alright, get it, free ride!
221.
Her warrant was due to a parole violation in regards to a shoplifting charge, as she had stolen $69 worth of merchandise from Walmart. When Bianca had gone to court for this charge of violating her parole, she became unresponsive towards the judge and again was ordered to get a mental health evaluation. The judge can be heard in the court audio asking Bianca whether or not she was paying attention or whether she was falling asleep. He would repeatedly ask her if she could hear him, but she wouldn't answer, and then he decided she needed to get a mental health evaluation done. But she would not end up getting that evaluation done because 2 days later, on May 31st, a different judge, Judge Brian Hagen, released her back out into the community without it. Just 3 days later, she stabbed Julian and his mother Margot. Still, the judge who released her said that he would not have done anything differently, even now, knowing that Bianca Ellis is charged with aggravated murder for stabbing a toddler. The judge said that the organization handling the mental health evaluations had nobody available, and he thought that it was unjust to make Bianca sit in jail for days for such a minor charge. He also said that there were no red flags that she would commit any worse crimes, as he did not know about her previous violent acts that had happened just months prior. Bianca's mother, Yolanda Eggleton, said she feels absolutely terrible for the Wood family, and she was shocked as well as devastated when she heard what had happened. She said, "No child should ever lose their life. She was around my grandkids. It could have been one of my grandkids." Bianca's mother also blames both the court and the mental health systems for failing both her daughter and the Wood family. Yolanda additionally said that her daughter Bianca had been suffering from mental health issues for years and suggested that she might have been hallucinating at the time that she stabbed Julian and his mother. Bianca's mother also said that Bianca had been put on several different medications in the past, but none had worked for her. Instead, Bianca's hallucinations and voices in her head had gotten the best of her. Yolanda added that she believes the police should have done more to check on Bianca's mental status, following her alleged confession to murder and subsequent proclamation that she wanted to kill again. This won't be the last time, Yolanda warned. Well, hopefully it is, because hopefully she goes away to jail for a long time or gets the death penalty. Julian's extended family have opened up a GoFundMe to help his father pay for Julian's funeral expenses, legal bills, and his wife's recovery. Margot is expected to recover 100%, and I will actually leave a link for the GoFundMe account in the description down below. His family wrote a collective statement in which they said, "Our family is overwhelmed with sadness. We have no explanation as to how or why this happened. It was a random act of violence. She devastated our family beyond words. She took something from us that we can never get back." Julian's family said they are extremely thankful for the support that they have received from not just family and friends, but also strangers from the community and beyond. They said that they are at the start of a long journey to recovery and are very hopeful that they will get justice in the end. Julian Wood's funeral was held on Saturday, June 8, 2024, at St. Charles Borromeo Church in Parma, Ohio. Following his funeral, hundreds of people showed up to pay tribute to the once amazing and vibrant little boy. His family asked those in attendance to help honor Julian by lining the streets with his two favorite things, the color green and dinosaurs, as his funeral procession drove by. And people delivered. They lined the streets wearing green shirts and dinosaur clothing. They also carried stuffed animals, balloons, ribbons, and signs with them. Julian's funeral procession then ended at Sunset Memorial Park in North Olmsted, where he was then buried.
The community turned out, lining Ridge Road in Parma outside St. Charles Borromeo down to Snow Road on the way to North Olmsted. Why is it important that you're here today?
Because I think it's important for everyone to support the family with our love and our thoughts and show our support. So I wanted to be here today.
Why are you out here today?
Just to show support for the family. You know, it's just horrible that something happens like this. A 3-year-old child didn't even get a chance yet. Just terrible.
Parents bringing their children out of Saturday morning, but the support started earlier. Ribbons on trees outside St. Charles, put up by neighbors who didn't even know the family. You put the ribbons up yesterday?
Yes, we did. My Pam, my neighbor, and my other neighbor, Michelle Ketchum, came, and we put all the ribbons up just to show support for the family. It's devastating. I can't even imagine.
During the funeral mass, the procession route became even more populated, with people showing up wearing green and carrying dinosaurs.
It's just, I saw on Facebook that was his favorite thing was dinosaurs. So it was just important to be here to show that the family has support in the community.
It's wonderful that they're doing it all the way to Sunset Memorial.
From tragedy that ripped apart a family to an outpouring of support that brought a community together.
There's a lot of evil in the world, but there's so much more love that outweighs it.
Ma'am, when your daughter followed after this defendant towards McDonald's, was that the last time you ever saw your daughter alive?
Yes.
Cherish Periwinkle was born December 24, 2004, in Jacksonville, Florida, to her father, Billy Giroux, and her mother, Rain Periwinkle, who called Cherish the best Christmas gift she had ever gotten. Cherish also had 3 sisters. She attended the 2nd grade at Chaffee Trail Elementary School in Jacksonville, and she also loved to attend Paxton Revival Center Church. Cherish loved to spend hours drawing beautiful pictures that she shared with her mother and others. She also loved to play school with her sisters, and she would teach them how to read. Cherish had a great sense of humor, and she would always tell her mother Rain that she wanted to be like her when she grew up. Just recently, the 8-year-old had learned to ride her bike without training wheels, and she was very proud of herself for this. Cherish also loved to dress up in her mother's clothes and loved watching movies with her mom. So Cherish's father, Billy, had been in the Navy as well as recently divorced when he met Rain in 2003. Rain was working at a strip club at the time, and Billy was a regular there. The two of them ended up having a one-night stand. Shortly after, Rain informed Billy that she was pregnant with Cherish. But when Billy asked to get a paternity test done, as he needed it to put Cherish on his military benefits, Rain refused. The court, however, would order a paternity test to be done 3 years later when Rain had applied for government benefits. This resulted in Billy finding out that Cherish was indeed his daughter, and he began to financially support her. He was also granted more time with Cherish, and over the next few years, he would fight for custody of her because he did not believe that her mother, Rain, was capable of being a mother. But Rain would retain custody of Cherish. Apparently, however, even the custody evaluator in the case said that she feared for Cherish's safety because her mother and her mother's boyfriend created an unstable environment. Rain was said to be neglectful of her children at times, and sometimes she had emotional outbursts due to her bipolar disorder. But the custody case evaluator also said that Cherish and her father hadn't properly bonded. Regardless, the evaluator still felt that Cherish would be much better off in her father's care. On June 21, 2013, 8-year-old Cherish Periwinkle was getting ready to fly out to California the next day to see her father. She was going to be spending the summer with him, so her and her mother Rain were getting ready, and they packed her bags, washed Cherish's hair, then went out to buy her some new clothes. It was around 7:30 that evening that Rain, Cherish, and 2 of Cherish's sisters went to a Dollar General on Edgewood Avenue in Jacksonville, Florida. Rain didn't drive and she didn't have a car, so she and the girls, along with the stroller, walked to the store. It was about a 20-minute walk from where they lived. Rain and the 3 girls looked at some clothes at the Dollar General store. Rain had $100, but that was supposed to be enough for her to not only buy clothes, but also household items and pay to travel to the airport to drop off Cherish the following morning. So not much of that money was going towards Cherish's clothing. Rain would bring a few items up to the register to check the price on them, as she had to spend wisely. One thing that she really wanted to buy for Cherish was a white dress with little red hearts on it. However, she ended up realizing it was too much and had to put it back. Unbeknownst to her, a man had been watching the mother and her 3 children as they walked around the store. This man would also ask the cashier if the mother had to put some of her clothes back. The cashier confirmed that she did. He had then waited outside the store for Rain, where he struck up a conversation with her. This man's name was Donald Smith, and he told her that he was waiting for his wife to pick him up. He also mentioned that he noticed she had to put some clothing back that she wanted to buy for her girls. But he had a $150 Walmart gift card, and he was more than happy to spend it on her. But he just had to wait for his wife to get there because she was the one that had the gift card, he claimed. Rain thanked Don and accepted his offer. The mother, the 3 girls, and this strange man then stood around talking in the parking lot, waiting for Don's wife to come pick them up. But when she still had not shown up after about 20 minutes, Don told Rain that they could just meet her at Walmart instead. At that point, it had also started to rain outside, so the mother and the 3 girls could walk home and get wet, or they could accept Don's ride and go get some new clothes at Walmart. And even though Rain was reluctant at first, she accepted Don's offer again and got in the van. Don's van actually belonged to his mother. It was a white van that had carpeting inside and blinds on the windows. Once they were inside the van, Don drove them to Walmart, which was about 10 minutes away. His wife was still not there, but Don was insisting that she was going to meet them anytime now. Don told Rain that he was going to sit in his van and wait for his wife to get there. So Rain and the 3 girls went into Walmart and began to pick out clothing. Don would later end up joining them inside the store after his wife had still not arrived. This was because Don didn't have a wife. While he was walking around Walmart with the mother and her girls, Don didn't get much for himself. Only one thing, a bundle of rope. This man also seemed to have his eye on 8-year-old Cherish. He had even picked out some shoes for her to wear, but they were highly inappropriate as they were women's high heels. Rain would say that she thought maybe he was just an older man and he was confused about what kind of shoes young girls wore. Even more disturbing is the fact that he took Cherish to the dressing room twice, alone. And Rain had allowed it, partially because she was busy with her other children, and partially because, as she would later say, she didn't want to seem like she was being too overprotective. That's not being overprotective. That's being a mother. You do not let your child go with a strange man. Ever. ever. Around 10 p.m., they still had not eaten dinner, so Dawn offered to go buy them some cheeseburgers at the McDonald's that was inside the Walmart. Cherish could tag along, and Rain agreed. She figured the store was still full of people, and the restaurant was right inside the store anyways. However, the surveillance footage showed that instead of going to the McDonald's, Dawn took Cherish and walked out of the store. This would be the last time that Cherish was seen alive. After 20 minutes had passed and Dawn and Cherish had not come back, Rain began to worry. Walmart was closing soon. She had a shopping cart full of clothing, no gift card, no sign of Dawn, his wife, or Cherish. She spent another 20 to 30 minutes panicking and searching the Walmart as well as the parking lot. But still, there was no sign of Cherish or Dawn. At 11:20, she finally used an employee's phone to call 911 because she had left her cell phone in Dawn's van. This was her frantic explanation to authorities.
Jackson 911 Robinson. Hi, I'm at Walmart. I'm interested in taken. What do you mean? Taken by a stranger. I can't find her because the store is closed right now.
Okay, is he a white man or a black man?
A white man. He's got white short hair and he's got dark eyebrows.
You said dark short hair?
No, he's got white hair and dark eyebrows. I had a strange feeling about him when I first met him, and he took her to the dressing room twice, and I was hoping that she would be okay. And I was looking at the shoes, and I didn't want him to think that I was overly protective, freaking out. But now they're not here, and I find it very odd because he knew that.
Oh, okay, ma'am. What color vehicle does he drive?
It's a white van.
Do you remember any stickers or anything on the side of the van? Anything that you can remember at all? Did it have tinted windows or anything?
I know he's got carpet in the van. I didn't take a good look. Sorry.
And he said what?
I didn't take a good look at the van.
Okay, do you remember did you see any tag on it or anything? Was it a Florida tag?
No, I didn't look at that. I feel like a fool.
Okay, can you remember what he had on?
No, I don't remember anything because I'm panicking right now.
Okay, ma'am, what's your name?
My name's... He said his name is Dawn. He said he was supposed to meet his wife here, and his wife never showed up, and I couldn't figure out why. His wife didn't even show up at Dollar General.
And he told you that y'all were going to meet his wife at the Walmart?
Yes. First, she was supposed to show up at Dollar General, and then he was going to meet with her at Walmart. And we've been here probably 2 hours. And she didn't show up, and I have this cart full of clothes that he said he was going to pay for with a $100 gift card, and I had a bad feeling. I thought, well, I feel like pinching myself because this is too good to be true. So I got to the checkout. He's not here. He isn't here. Now, I'm hoping he's not raping her right now because I've had that done to me. It's not fun. Please. She's supposed to go to California in the morning on the plane. And he knows this. I told him this. He knew when the store was closing. I had a bad feeling about him.
Okay, how long have you been looking for you? When was the last time you saw him? How long ago?
About half an hour ago.
So you've been looking for her for a half an hour?
Yes. There's nobody in the store. And he knew the store was closing. He said he was going to McDonald's. She went with him. I should have told her to stay with me.
He was going to the McDonald's inside the store?
Yes, there's a McDonald's inside the store. He wasn't here. Oh, somebody said they saw him, but he's not here. He should have had the nerve to stay in here and wait. He must know that I'm panicking by now. Excuse me?
Who are you talking to?
Walmart employee. They're talking to my girls because they haven't had anything to eat.
What you say, ma'am?
They haven't had anything to eat, so the Walmart employee was talking to my girls.
Talking to your who?
My girls.
Okay, you have more kids with you?
Yes, I have two. My other ones, I think he took her.
Okay, ma'am, you think she's been taken? You say you have other kids with you?
Yes, I do. He was giving too much attention. He wanted her to buy these really tall shoes that were women's shoes, and I told him no. I said they're too high for her. I wouldn't even wear shoes that high. Maybe he was grooming her. I hope to God he doesn't kill her, and I hope to God he doesn't rape her.
Okay, and when did you meet him today?
I met him at Dollar General in Edgewood. I was struggling with my money to buy the girls some clothes, and he saw that what I was doing, and he waited for us outside the store. And he said that he was waiting on his wife to show up. And so I waited around to meet her, and she didn't show up. And then he said he was going to give us a ride over here to Walmart. And then we waited in the parking lot for maybe 20 minutes for her to show up. She didn't show up. So we all went into the store. We've been here about 2 hours. And she didn't show up. And I don't understand why he would leave right now unless he's got to rape her and kill her. That's the only reason. And I'm wasting my time standing here.
You're not wasting your time, ma'am. We have officers on their way to you.
I can't remember what I'm wearing. I need to sit down and be calm and close my eyes and try to remember what I'm wearing. And it had a big space in the middle of the van where he had taken out a couple of seats, and he put my stroller in there, or I put the stroller in there. I don't want him to kill her. I don't want to be one of those parents that are going through this. I feel responsible because I told him when I first met him that I was a little bit scared of him because I thought he was waiting to rob us outside the Dollar General because he was just standing there. And he said, well, if you really want that dress, I'll go get it for her. I should have told him no. My girls need clothes so bad, that's why I let him do it, but I'm so sorry. Now these ladies have to put all the clothes back in the store.
Can you remember anything else about him? Whenever you were talking to him, did he sound funny, like he had an accent or anything? Or
he said he works for Haberjacks.
He said he worked for Haberjacks?
Yes.
Did he say where they lived?
No, I don't remember that. He said his wife is from the Virgin Islands. We had a little chat in the van on the way over.
And did he say he lived on that side of town or anything?
He said he didn't know this part of town. He wasn't sure about this part of town. Oh my gosh. He knows the store's closed. He knows McDonald's is closed. Why in the world would he take?
I don't see the van in the parking lot or anything where y'all left it.
Well,
have you been outside to the parking lot?
I went outside the door, but I don't think I see the van. Let's see. Yeah, he took her. He took her away.
Okay, who are you speaking with, ma'am?
I'm speaking to a Walmart employee. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Are you outside now, ma'am?
Yeah, there's 2 police officers out here, 2 police cars.
Okay, go ahead and speak with officers.
Thank you.
The police, however, were familiar with Don. 61-year-old Donald Smith was a registered sex offender, with offenses that dated back all the way to the 70s. In 1977, he had been convicted of lewd and lascivious behavior on a child under 16 years old. And in 1993, he had been sentenced to 5 years in prison after attempting to kidnap a minor. In fact, he had actually just been released from prison 3 weeks before he took Cherish. Jacksonville police put on a be on the lookout for Cherish Periwinkle, Donald Smith, and his white van. But for some reason, it wouldn't be until nearly 5 hours later that an Amber Alert was issued. Donald's roommate actually heard the Amber Alert, and he reached out to police, telling them that he would provide them with any information that they needed. Despite searching through the night, it was only 9 a.m. the next morning that police would get a break in the case. An officer who was dealing with a separate incident on Interstate 95 had seen Don's van drive by and recognized it. Don was then pulled over and arrested. When they checked the van, it was empty. Cherish was nowhere to be seen. Rain had also left the items she bought at the Dollar General along with the stroller inside Don's van. Those were also gone. And Don was wearing the same clothing that he had had on the night prior, a black t-shirt and jeans, and his bottom half was soaking wet. He told officers that the reason he was wet was because he had been with prostitutes the night before, doing crack cocaine. And when he did that drug, it made him sweat profusely. But police knew the truth. Wherever Cherish was, it was likely near a body of water. A little while prior to Don being pulled over at 8:34, a citizen had called police saying that there was a suspicious vehicle that looked to be Don's van.
Hi, we're calling about a suspicious van over here, a white van. It was parked behind some bushes. It's not there anymore, but we don't know if he dumped anything because we heard a girl just got abducted from Walmart.
It was parked near some woods at the Highland Baptist Church on Rutgers Road. This person also told them that Don's van had been parked near a creek. And since they had found him wet, police were sure they knew where Cherish's body was. With the help of a police dog, they searched the water, and they would make a devastating discovery. Cherish's body, and she was still wearing the same dress she had on the night prior. She was in the water, and her body was being weighed down by some bricks and debris. A plastic Walmart bag was found nearby. Cherish had injuries all over her body. She had been gagged so severely that she had bled from her nose and gums. She had also been SA'd, and so violently that the coroner would say her genitalia was distorted. She had additionally suffered blunt force trauma and had ligature marks to her neck. Her body also had defensive wounds on it, which showed that the 67-pound 8-year-old had fought for her life. However, she was no match for the monster who had kidnapped her. Donald Smith was charged with kidnapping, sexual battery, and first-degree murder of Cherish Periwinkle. And the evidence against Don was overwhelming. There was the CCTV footage that showed him leaving with Cherish. He was still wet at the time of his arrest. And a citizen had seen his van parked near the creek where Cherish's body had been found. Additionally, there was plenty of DNA evidence found on Cherish's body and Donald's. Donald Smith's trial began in February of 2018, and it was very traumatizing for all involved. While presenting evidence, the chief medical examiner actually broke down and had to take a break. Cherish did not die quickly, and she did not die easily. In fact, hers was a brutal and tortured death, the state attorney said. During the trial, some secret jailhouse recordings of Don were played. In the calls, he can be heard talking to some other inmates about a group of 12 and 13-year-old girls who had visited the jail. In these recordings, Don would also say that Cherish had a big butt for a white girl. This man is absolutely disgusting. Further recordings revealed how Don intended to use an insanity defense at his trial. In a phone conversation that he had with his mother, he can be heard asking her for a copy of the DSM-IV, a guide to mental disorders. Don also tells his mother his version of events and how he ended up taking Cherish. Don told his mother that Cherish had followed him out to the parking lot that night, and she had jumped into his van on her own. He knew that he was already going to get in trouble for just having her with him due to his prior convictions, so he decided to just go for it. In all likelihood, Cherish wouldn't have been concerned about getting into Don's van because she, her sisters, and her mother had just been in there, maybe an hour prior. The other people at Walmart probably just thought it was a grandfather and his granddaughter walking out of the store together. In his discussion with his mother, Don also put emphasis on his violation of Cherish being a violent act. Obviously, it is a violent act, but he wanted it to be seen as him inflicting rage and violence on Cherish, not like she was a sexual object. He obviously did not want to be seen as a pedophile, but that's exactly what he is.
Hey, I figured didn't have all that. She was just missing. And look at that. I mean, they have bodyguards all around her. And even though the child's dead or alive, just missing. This is huge. Be aware. It is huge. It's as big as anything that's ever hit. It's as big as any Jimmy Rice or anything like that. It's that big. You crazy. No way. I'm not Cherish, stay right here. I'm going to go get her wallet. I go out the door. I get halfway across the parking lot. Here she comes running out the parking lot. She goes, where are you going? I said, go back inside. I'm in my wallet. I'm trying to drive away. I'm trying to get away. I get out to my van. Security comes right there in front of my van. She comes running up. And I'm panicking. Now I'm panicking. Now I'm a sex offender. An 8-year-old girl out of the parking lot of my truck with security right there. Her mother inside. My mind starts to freak. I mean, freak. kidnapping. I have moved her out of the building. She's not letting me ask it. She just ran out. She just attached herself to me. Run out the building. The cameras will show. I went out the building. She was still there. She ran behind me to catch me. I'm hot. Now I'm freaking out because it's like, shit, I'm afraid of this girl. I'm panicking. She could look like a pit bull. I'm freaking out. So I'm thinking about it, telling security, hey man. But he drives off. He's right in front of my van. He drives behind him. As she runs up, got my van door, so she just comes right in the van. That's what I told Harry. He says, man, what she got in your van? Fuck. I said, you're right. That's exactly what my mind said. Don, you got an 8-year-old girl in your van. Don't ever believe anything that you say. If her mother comes out right now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm telling you, I was freaking out. It's my headlights were like flashing, and I'm freaking out. Out. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna start my van, and pull up to the door. And then it's like, then what the fuck am I gonna do? She said, there's my little girl. I went out, so I turned the other way. And there was a car in the parking lot. Another car. People in it. So I stopped. I was going to tell them, hey man, take this girl back inside. But now I'm thinking, holy shit, I don't know what to do. In my mind, it just went boom. I said, oh hell no. I mean, I can feel my stomach shaking right now. I said, oh hell no. I don't know what I'm going to do now. So I'm in the parking lot. And I'm driving. I don't know what to do. All I knew was, you gotta go. You have to go. I don't care how. You gotta go. It happened.
Donald wanted to be sentenced to death. He didn't want to be sentenced to life in prison because he was afraid the other inmates would kill him. He's likely right. And he got what he wanted. It took the jury only 15 minutes to find him guilty of both first-degree murder and sexual battery. And in May of 2018, he was sentenced to death. Now in Florida, all cases involving first-degree murder are given an appeal. As such, Donald Smith reappeared in court in 2020, fully intending to fight his death sentence. However, his sentence was upheld. Shortly after Cherish's death, her other sisters were removed from Rain's custody. They would end up being adopted by an aunt who lived in Australia. Apparently, Rain had actually been born in Australia, and her birth name was Kimberly. She had also had a daughter while she lived there, and she had abandoned her when she was only 5 years old. Rain had come to America, changed her name, then never looked back again. In interviews with her family from Australia, they said that she was not a good mother and they always feared for her children.
I'm related to that person, that's my mother, and it just makes me feel sick.
Her own daughter doesn't want a thing to do with her.
I've never wanted to have anything to do with her because of who she is. But she's a bad mother.
Her sister refuses to talk to her.
Quite simply, is she the world's worst mum?
It's the worst I've ever heard of. Worst case of child neglect that I've ever heard of.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Clearly, Rain Periwinkle doesn't think she's a bad mum.
And the nausea I feel, and the pain, the agony, and I don't want any mom to have to go through what I'm going through.
She's my sister and I love her, but I'll never forgive her for what she's done.
Rain's sister Kerry and Rain's oldest daughter Lindsay say Rain is the reason one of her children is dead.
It's terrible, but I think about it every day. I can't sleep. So It's been a year and it feels like it was just yesterday. As soon as I start thinking about it, it kills me, so.
And Lindsay, can I ask you who you blame for what happened to Cherish?
My mother, 100%. Oh, you know, that pedophile was going to get, any child was going to get somebody, he was going to do it to someone. And he saw my mum as an easy mark.
He was a known pedophile.
40 years history, 4 decades of sex offences and crime against children.
I thought I taught them everything about stranger danger.
Before she was murdered, little Cherish begged her grandmother Leslie to let her come and live with her in Australia.
I don't really think they were being looked after, and it really worried me. I really think there was something was going on.
Do you feel that the community and individuals are really blaming you for it?
Yes, a lot of them.
In the States, Rain Periwinkle has become big news.
If I could say one more thing to Cherish, what would it be? Wait for me at the gate. She's enjoying being a public figure and really doesn't understand that what she's done is so wrong.
And following her daughter's death, Rain had an extremely difficult time holding down a job. Not only because she was grieving, but also because many people were blaming her for Cherish's death. One of those people was Cherish's father, Billy. Rain had never been supportive of her daughter going out to see her father in California. So when Billy had first heard that his daughter was missing, he didn't quite believe it. He also is not so sure that Rain's story is 100% the truth. He thinks that the story that night doesn't add up. It has to be more than just coincidence. And there are many people online as well that agree with Billy. Things just don't make sense. Many people believe that Rain might have sold her daughter that night. She trusted a creepy man that she didn't know to go with her 8-year-old daughter alone. Obviously, she didn't think her daughter was going to get killed that night, but was she setting her up for something else? It's also said that Cherish had previously been essayed by somebody in her life.
I'm Cherish Periwinkle's mother. The Bible says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Don't keep him alive so he can keep getting out. It ends now. Thank you everyone for your support. I couldn't have done it all without you. This is for Cherish and other victims. Other victims out there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cherish's father has said that he looks at a picture of his daughter every day, and he remembers a life that ended much too soon. Her life was hard, Billy said, and even though it's hard to believe that a kid could be happy in that situation, Cherish was never unhappy. She always had a smile on her face and was the happiest kid. Cherish Periwinkle's funeral was held on Friday, June 28, 2013, at Paxson Revival Center Church in Jacksonville, Florida. She was then buried at Riverside Memorial Park, also in Jacksonville.
Somebody came in and took her, is what I'm thinking. It's the only logical explanation that could happen. There's only one way in our house and one way out right now, unless they break a window.
All I know is their door is loud and hard to open and shut, and they have dogs that bark. Someone would have heard. I think they know more than they're letting on.
Shayen Michelle K. Amaran was born on December 31st, 2014 in Bloomington, Indiana, to Justin Amaran and Jessica Stewart. Shayen also had 2 brothers who were 5 and 8 at the time that she died. Shayen was said to be always happy, always laughing and smiling. She loved Tinkerbell and anything shimmery or glittery. Shayen was a happy little girl who also loved music and dancing. Shayen's parents, Justin and Jessica, were no longer together, but they shared custody of their daughter. On March 18, 2016, Jessica dropped her 14-month-old daughter off at her father's house so she could spend the week with him. His home was located on the 400th block of West Jefferson Street in Spencer, Indiana. In that home lived not only Justin, but also Justin's mother, Tamara Morgan, his stepfather, Danny Morgan, and his brother, Adam Amaran. After Shayen had been at her dad's house for a few nights, on March 22nd, her uncle Adam decided that he wanted to have a friend over to watch some movies and have a few drinks. So Shaylen's uncle Adam, his stepfather Danny, and his new friend, Kyle Parker, were all hanging out in Adam's room, drinking some whiskey and vodka and watching television. Tamara put little Shayen to bed in her crib, which was out in the living room, sometime between 8 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., though the family's accounts on the exact time of this would vary, and this is not the only thing that had inconsistencies. So Tamara tucked her granddaughter in, wrapping her favorite Winnie the Pooh blanket around her. And Justin would check in on his daughter around 11 p.m. right before he headed to bed. Tamara would also check on her a few times prior to her heading to bed around midnight. The get-together ended in the early hours of the morning, after Kyle had left and everyone else had gone to bed. But when Justin woke up the next morning, around 8 a.m. or possibly 9 a.m., because that's also something that changes from time to time in their stories, he went to get his daughter from her crib, and she wasn't there. Justin says that he then ran into Tamara's room, almost knocking down her door, and asked her if she had seen Shayen anywhere. She said she hadn't, and Shayen was nowhere to be found inside the house. The family went into panic mode and called the police. Shayen's disappearance then set off a frantic search in the area surrounding the home where she was last seen. Hundreds of local and state police officers scoured the neighborhood as well as nearby woods, fields, creeks, and rivers. At the Amaran home, there was no sign of a break-in, and she could not have walked out on her own. Photographs of the toddler were distributed across the state, along with the information that she was last seen wearing a white zip-up sleeper with owls on it, along with a purple pacifier that was attached to it. The family figured that somebody had broken into their house and just taken Shayen from her crib. They couldn't understand, however, why nothing else was taken. No computers, no TVs, nothing expensive. In fact, nothing in the house was disturbed.
Who would in the world would do this? I mean, this is a small town. You should know. You know that, right? I mean,
nothing like this really happens in Spencer. Spencer is like the world's smallest town, and
it's not the world's smallest town.
Well, no, but it's nothing like this has ever happened. And we don't know why it's happening to us right now.
We're not bad people.
Yeah, we're not bad people. We've never made enemies with anybody.
Somebody had to walk through our front door and take her. They did not bother anything in the house. Nothing in the house was disturbed. It was just like it was when I went to bed and when I got up, except for Shayen was gone. There was her baby blankets were laying on the couch next to her bed, were not disturbed. Her toys weren't disturbed. Nothing in the house was taken but Shayen.
But Shayen's diaper bag, along with her Winnie the Pooh blanket, were also missing. Though at first, Tamara said nothing else from the house was missing except for her granddaughter, even specifying that no diapers were taken and no clothing was taken. So how did she not notice that her granddaughter's favorite Winnie the Pooh blanket was missing? The fact that these two very important items had disappeared along with Shayen at first gave Shayen's mom the false hope that somebody was taking good care of her daughter somewhere else. Unfortunately, that would prove not to be true. Shayen's family did multiple interviews with different news outlets. They said there were rumors going around that they had the reputation at their house for throwing a lot of parties, and that there was a party going on the night that Shayen had disappeared. But Tamara, as well as Justin, would deny this. In fact, Tamara was kind of adamant that they did not have a party on one of these interviews, which is kind of a weird thing to be adamant about when your granddaughter is missing, don't you think?
Last night there was a guy named Kyle there, but he was in my brother's room the whole time.
Okay, what can you tell me? This is we're recording this to for an interview. Obviously, I need to let you know that. What can you tell me about the guy that was there?
He came in and went to my brother's room, and he brought some alcohol over there, but.
So Shayen had been at the house beforehand, and as far as you know, she was still there up until 8:30 this morning.
Yeah.
And anything else about this guy that was over there in your brother's room?
I couldn't tell you anything else besides that, because my brother went in my room, got me. I was like almost half asleep. He woke me up and wanted me to come in there and drink with him, but I told him no, so I don't know really much about that Kyle guy.
And any idea about Kyle's last name?
No, I don't.
So at this point, you have no idea who might have taken her.
No, we don't have no idea.
What can we do in the media to help get the word out? We're getting the picture out there. We're putting it on the news. We're getting it on the internet. What else do you want people to know?
Well, Fox 59 has got it on there too, and they're reporting that there was a party at our house last night, and there was no party. We did have some alcohol. My son, Adam Ammerman, and Kyle was in the bedroom, and there was a little bit of alcohol drink, but there was no party at all.
And the other people that had been there at the time, had they left by 2 in the morning when you went to bed?
No, Kyle was still there when I went to bed, and Kelly come in sometime after that and left, but I don't know when she came in and when she left.
And then you got, what time did you notice that Shayen was missing?
8 o'clock this morning.
So you got up at 8 o'clock and she just wasn't there anymore?
Right, yeah, she wasn't there.
Okay.
And nothing else was missing. I have a brand new laptop in the living room that was not bothered. I have cell phones. Nothing was bothered.
Okay.
Just her.
And
Not even her clothes, her diapers, nothing was taken but her.
Just her.
Shayen's mother, Jessica, didn't live very far away from the Amarans' house. And when she got the news that her daughter was missing, not only was she devastated, but she also thought that Justin knew more than he was telling her. Though she did not know if Justin had anything to do with their daughter's disappearance, she also thought that he was probably afraid to tell anybody what information he did know. Shortly after Shayen had been discovered as missing, Jessica and Justin spoke on the phone, and while Jessica was inconsolable, Justin seemed to have no emotion. It was also found out that the reason why Jessica originally kicked Justin out of their home when they were together was because he had been previously rough with Shayen. So while the search for the little girl was still ongoing, everyone who was in the house the night that she had disappeared was interviewed by police. A woman named Kelly, who also sometimes stays at the Amaran house, was also interviewed because that morning she had actually brought 2 newspapers into the house sometime between 2 a.m. and 8 o'clock in the morning and placed them on the bar in the kitchen. However, she was later cleared by police. When police spoke with Tamra, she said that she had checked on her granddaughter before she went to bed around midnight. Not long after Tamra had fallen asleep, she was again woken up by her husband, Danny, because he was trying to fix the TV as the cable had gone out. She said at that time, which was around 2 a.m., she then went to check on Shayen again, and she was fine at that time. When Adam's friend Kyle, the one who had been at the home the night that Shayen disappeared, was interviewed by police, he initially told them that he had left the Amaran house sometime between 12:30 and 1:30 in the morning. He said that as he was walking to his car, he remembers Adam leaning out the window and saying goodbye to him. After that, he drove his maroon Pontiac Grand Am to a friend's house in Gosport. Kyle said he then sat in their garage, in his car, listening to music until around 3:20 a.m. when they woke up and let him inside the house. Kyle also had numerous scratches on his forearms and hands that appeared to be fresh, though he denied that they were fresh and said that they were actually from cats that he had at his house. But later, Kyle would change his story and tell police that while he was drinking and hanging out at Adam's house, Adam had come into the room at one point with the toddler wrapped up in a blanket, and he asked Kyle if he could help him dispose of her body, to which Kyle said he agreed. Kyle then said that he drove Adam as well as Shayen's body, which was laying across Adam's lap, to an access road located in Gosport, Indiana, one where he would often go to drink and smoke marijuana. He described this as Shayen's final resting spot. He said when they got there, he had watched Adam roll Shayen's body out of the blanket down a slight incline until it hit a tree at the bottom. From there, Kyle agreed to show police where Shayen's body was located, and he drew them a map. But he told them that they would not find his DNA on her. They would find Adam's, however. Kyle was then held on the preliminary charges of obstructing justice, failure to report a dead body, and improper disposal of a corpse. After Kyle's interview, police contacted his stepfather, Mike Patton, and told him that they thought Kyle was more involved with Shayen's disappearance than he was letting on. Mike said he would talk to Kyle about doing the right thing. Now that police had the information from Kyle as to where Shayen's body was located, on March 24, 2016, around 6 p.m., investigators searched the banks of the White River in a rural area of Gosport, Indiana. And it was near the intersection of Indian Creek that Shayen's body was discovered. She was naked and lying next to a tree that was located on private property. This was about 9 miles away from the home where she had disappeared from. When Shayen's autopsy was conducted, it was determined that she had died of asphyxiation. She had injuries to her nose and mouth area that were consistent with a hand being held over them. She also had injuries to her throat that were consistent with strangulation. It was also discovered that prior to her death, Shayen had been raped, and the medical examiner who specializes in pediatric autopsies involving sexual battery says it was the worst case of sexual trauma she's ever seen in her career. Now that police had found Shayen, they needed to speak with Adam, since Kyle had said that he was guilty. Though Adam would give a much different story. Adam told police that he had fallen asleep in his chair sometime after midnight, and Kyle was still up drinking at the time. Then, between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, he suddenly heard the front door slam, and when he looked out the window, he saw Kyle walking towards his car with his back facing Adam. When the family had given an interview previously, however, they said that nobody had heard anything that night. So Adam said that when he saw Kyle walking towards his car, he called out to him to say goodbye, but Kyle didn't answer, and he kept walking. Adam also said that he noticed that Kyle was holding something, and he says that he might have saw a foot, but he wasn't sure because he was tired and had been drinking, so he just went back to bed. Yeah, cool. But Adam said that he trusted Kyle. He had been over the house before, and he had played with Shayen about a dozen times. Though Adam at one point only described Kyle as being a friend of a friend who he had just recently met. Personally, I don't let people that I just recently met that are friends of friends come over and hang out for hours and hours and be around my child, but... Both Adam and Justin voluntarily took polygraph tests, and while it wasn't publicly revealed if either of them passed, police did tell Kyle that Adam had passed his polygraph test. Whether this was true or just a tactic to get him to talk, we don't know, however. Jessica later did say that Justin did not pass his. From jail, Kyle had spoken with his stepfather, Mike, and Kyle told him that police would now have the truth since they had found Shayen's body and would be testing any DNA that was found on her. Mike said he knew right then and there that Kyle had taken Shayen, raped her, and killed her. Kyle also told his stepfather that when he had taken Shayen from the house, she was alive, well, and clothed. Mike immediately told the police what his stepson had told him. He said that he could never live with himself if he hadn't. After police spoke with Kyle's stepfather, they brought Kyle in for another interview. This time he told police that he was in a bit of a haze and his memory was foggy. But what Kyle told his stepfather was that he was driving towards Gosport, and at one point he pulled the car over to the side of the road. There, Kyle raped Shayen in the front seat and then smothered her with a cloth that he had in the vehicle prior, killing her. Kyle had also confessed that he had burned Shayen's sleeper outfit, her Winnie the Pooh blanket, and pacifier. Kyle said that he wiped down his body and Shayen's body with bleach, as well as poured some inside her to try to get rid of any DNA evidence. Though there was no evidence of bleach anywhere on her body. And although Kyle had told Mike, his stepfather, that the DNA would point back to him, police were actually unable to recover any of his DNA from the scene or from Shayen's body. They would, however, recover DNA from a third party who they were never able to identify. 22-year-old Kyle Parker was then arrested and charged with rape, murder, child molesting, kidnapping, aggravated battery, strangulation, obstruction of justice, and failing to report a dead body. He would plead not guilty to all of these charges, and he received no bond. Police publicly said that even though they had arrested Kyle, their investigation was far from over, and they could possibly still be making more arrests. Though this would never end up happening, even with all the inconsistencies and red flags that you'll later see from Shayen's family. So when detectives interviewed several of Kyle's friends, they all said that he liked violent pornography, and he would also sometimes get naked when he was drinking. These friends also said that Kyle preferred girls 12 to 14 years old. I'm very much hoping that nobody in the house knew that prior to inviting this man into the house with a child living there. But also, how does this come up? Do you just oh yeah, I like 12 to 14-year-olds? That's a huge risk telling anybody that. How? Multiple friends knew too. Multiple friends, they said. I don't know. Of course, Kyle denied these claims. One of Kyle's friends, named Tina Wagoner, and her husband, who lived in Gosport, said that Kyle had arrived to their home the morning that Shayen had gone missing, around 3:40 in the morning. Apparently, Kyle used to live at their home. Though he no longer resided there, he would sometimes go back to take showers and to help them with various projects around the house. The couple said that he had pulled his car into the garage and closed the door. He then began trying to throw various things away from inside his car. Kyle also went inside the house and washed his clothes at this point. These friends told police that Kyle was quiet and acting distant, not at all like himself. They also thought that it was very odd that he had gotten there at such an early hour of the morning. When the Amarans learned that Kyle had been arrested and they heard the details of what had happened to little Shayen, they were horrified. And in another interview that Justin did after they found Shayen's body, another inconsistency popped up. When Shayen had first gone missing, Justin had said that he didn't know Kyle. He was just a friend of Adam's. Now he said that he was a good person that he trusted, and he had played with Shayen as well as rocked her to sleep on several occasions previously. Police also learned that there was one time Tamara had come home. When she walked in the front door, Kyle was there, and he was drunkenly rocking Shayen on his lap in a rocking chair. Due to all the inconsistencies in their stories, Justin and the rest of the family started to receive serious backlash online. People were attacking Justin for letting Kyle into his house to begin with. They were calling him the lowest of low and hoping that he would go to jail along with Kyle. Others said they had no sympathy for any of the members of the family because they had all neglected Shayen. Justin posted a status on Facebook hitting back at these people, saying, "To all the haters out there, F you, leave me and my family alone. This is the last time I'm asking you, just stop with the bullshit." It's also said that during a candlelight vigil on March 25th, 2016 for Shayen, her family was not acting as serious as people expected them to. They were laughing and making jokes for much of the time. On February 27, 2017, Kyle Parker appeared in court, hoping a judge would accept a plea deal. Owen County Prosecutor Donald Vandemore argued that if Shayen's case went to trial, it was doomed, and Kyle could possibly walk free. This was because there were several problems. First, investigators had been unable to collect any DNA that matched Kyle's on Shayen's body or anywhere in the crime scene. Over 100 items had been tested for DNA, and Kyle's DNA was found on none of them. Making matters worse, some of the witnesses, aka Shayen's family members, had previously been charged with and convicted of crimes. This would seriously complicate matters, especially given that these offenses included battery and sexual assault. Shayen's dad, Justin, had actually been charged in 2009 with criminal sexual assault, as well as predatory sexual assault on a child under the age of 13. It was alleged that he had raped a young girl in 2003, and that's where this charge had stemmed from. This case would end up getting dismissed in 2012, and for a ridiculous reason. Justin didn't get arrested until 2012, even though there was a warrant out for his arrest for at least a year before that. Due to the fact that it took so long to arrest him, however, a judge ruled that his right to a speedy trial had been violated, and that's why it was dismissed. The other reason why they did not want this to go to trial was because investigators had done a sweep of all electronic devices belonging to everybody that was there the night Shayen disappeared. This had turned up searches for very violent pornography. Now, much of this was on a computer that the Amarans owned and was in their home. So it wasn't just Kyle looking this stuff up. Some of the searches that investigators found on the witnesses' devices were "Who's your daddy?", a video of a female who was bound with rope and a gag was in her mouth. There was also a search term for girls wanting to get punished by strangers. And there was much darker stuff. There were search terms for snuff movies, girls hanged, and girls eaten alive. Now, multiple people had had access to this computer, and this was all evidence that could not be hidden from a jury. The judge would end up agreeing with Prosecutor Vandemore and accepted Kyle's plea deal. A long list of charges were dropped in exchange for Kyle's plea, including obstruction of justice, failure to report a dead body, strangulation, aggravated battery, child molestation, and rape. So everything except for the murder and kidnapping charges. Now, since the rape and molestation charges were dropped, Kyle will only have to register as a violent offender when he gets out of jail and not a sexual offender, which is effed up. Even though the judge agreed that the plea deal was the best thing, she was displeased that the maximum sentence she was allowed to give Kyle was 60 years for the murder and 16 years on the kidnapping charge. And these were to be served concurrently. And since Kyle was convicted of murder, he will have to serve at least 45 years of his sentence before he can be released for good behavior. At that time, he would be 68. And since he won't have to register as a sex offender, he still has time to do other awful things to children. As the judge handed down his sentence, she said to Kyle, "The facts of this case were the most gut-wrenching I've ever heard. Your actions were pure evil on that evening. Many in this community rightfully wanted you to receive the death penalty or life without parole for this crime. What I can legally do as a judge and want to do as a parent and member of this community are totally in conflict. It's clear to me, based on the gruesome facts of this case, that you, Mr. Parker, have no moral compass or decency." Shaylen's mother also took the stand and would say a few words to the man who had murdered her daughter. She said, "You took my loving, sweet, and beautiful daughter away from me, her brother, her dad, and everyone who loves her. I hope you live with your guilt and it torments you for the rest of your life. A year ago, I was able to hug, kiss, feed, talk to, and dance with my beautiful little girl. It's hard to believe that so much can change in just 1 year." Kyle declined to speak at his hearing, but his mother, Christine Patton, told the court that her family has been harassed. Their home has been spray painted with graffiti, and lemons and limes have been thrown at the residence, which seems random. Why lemons and limes? Following the plea deal, protesters stood outside the courthouse holding signs that read "No Justice," and they yelled "Baby Killer" at Kyle as authorities escorted him from the building. For Shaylen's family, though, it was enough. They finally had some closure, and they felt they had some justice for Shayen. They're also glad to know that Kyle is now gone and off the streets. Shaylen's funeral was held on Wednesday, March 30th, 2016 at the Christian Life Center in Spencer. Around 200 people attended wearing purple in memory of Shayen and even bringing flowers. Many even hung purple ribbons from their cars. And the family opened the doors early for more than 50 law enforcement officers, many of whom had been deeply disturbed by the troubling details of the case. After the service, people lined the streets in Spencer as the hearse carrying Shayen's body drove off into the night, escorted by law enforcement. She was buried during a private service at Chambersville Cemetery in Spencer. Tamara, Shayen's grandmother, said, "She was my first granddaughter, and she was my pride and joy. She was a silly little girl who loved to dance. The slightest tone of music would come on, and she would start bouncing up and down, doing a little dance. She loved music. She was just the happiest baby in the world." Well, thank you for listening to all of Shayen's story today. I definitely think that Shayen's dad and uncle know more than they're letting on. There are just way too many red flags, and while Kyle definitely had something to do with Shayen's murder, I wonder if his story about helping Adam might be closer to the truth. What do you think? So if you do like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, and turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is 2 to 3 times every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys, bye.
Continually tried to call and do all I could to get my children back. I felt helpless in my quest for getting them back. Even though I had a signed court order and saw every single means necessary to get my children back, the state left them in their father's care and left me feeling hopeless.
Ariana Socorro Payne was born on October 18, 2002, and her older brother, Tyler Christopher Payne, was born on November 15, 2001, to their parents, Jamie Hallam and Christopher Payne. While Tyler was born in New Jersey, Ariana was born in Tucson, Arizona, where the family would continue to reside. The siblings were best friends and had been born only 11 months apart, which made them even closer. Ariana was bubbly and cuddly. She had an amazing smile and was a sweet and happy girl. She also loved doing art projects and she loved rainbows. Tyler was said to be sweet and gentle, and he loved Scooby-Doo, Spider-Man, and spending time with his mom cooking. Now, the children's parents, Jamie and Christopher, had begun dating in 2000, and not long into their relationship, Jamie would discover that Christopher would often get very violent. But when she discovered this, she was already pregnant with Tyler, so she decided to go back home to New Jersey. However, Christopher would end up luring her back to Arizona with promises that he was a changed man. The couple would then get married in 2002. However, they had split up only a year later. After that, the children's mother, Jamie, obtained full custody of both Ariana and Tyler, and the children were happy in her home. Now, Christopher, who had prior drug problems, fell deeper into his addiction once he separated from the children's mother, Jamie. Also, after the divorce, Christopher would disappear from Jamie and the children's lives altogether. He wasn't even paying the child support that he owed to Jamie. He was actually $19,000 behind on his child support payments. Christopher also had a prior criminal record dating back to 1994 for misdemeanor offenses, including domestic violence and drug and alcohol-related charges. So Christopher had not been in his children's lives since Tyler was 1 and Ariana was just a newborn. But seemingly out of nowhere, in December of 2005, he contacted Jamie and asked if he could see his children again. Christopher also told her that he was now in a committed relationship with a woman named Raina Gonzalez, and the two had a baby together named Christopher Jr. In addition, Christopher said he was clean off of drugs. So to Jamie, it sounded like her ex-husband had really started to turn his life around. With that information, in late January of 2006, Jamie decided to let Tyler and Ariana go stay with their father for the weekend, even though he had zero custodial rights. Prior to this weekend visit, the children had had a few supervised visits with their father. And since those went well, they then had an overnight. So this was the second time they were going to be spending the night at their father's. Christopher told Jamie that there was going to be a family birthday party that weekend, so the children would have a lot of fun. But at the end of the weekend, when Jamie went to pick up Ariana and Tyler at Christopher's apartment at the Portofino Apartments in Tucson, Arizona, he gave her an excuse to extend the visit. She agreed, but then he started giving her more excuses to keep extending the children's visit at his house. Eventually, in mid-February, Christopher started avoiding Jamie altogether. After weeks of these excuses from Christopher, at the beginning of March 2006, Jamie went to police to get their help in getting her children back. Jamie would meet with 2 officers outside of Christopher's apartment, and she presented them with paperwork stating that she was their legal guardian. It also showed that her ex-husband had no parental rights, not even visitation. But since the officers found that Christopher was living in a tidy apartment, there was food in the refrigerator, the children appeared to be fine, and there had also been a prior Child Protection Services report made about Jamie in 2005, the police decided that they needed to first call CPS to ask them what they should do about the situation. When police contacted CPS, a social worker named Cindy Groffman would confirm what Christopher had told them during their visit, that Child Protective Services had been investigating Jamie for drug use, and that he had filed for temporary custody of Ariana and Tyler. Jamie still had full legal rights to her children, but the police would decide to leave Ariana and Tyler in their father's custody. Police later claimed that the CPS worker, Cindy, had told them that it was in the children's best interest to be with their father, Christopher. She denies it. She says that she told police to abide by whatever the court order said. So in regards to the CPS report that had been filed back in 2005, there had been an anonymous complaint made saying that Jamie and her boyfriend were using methamphetamine as well as neglecting the children. Child Services had investigated and found the complaint to be unsubstantiated. This was after the social worker, Cindy, had made 2 surprise visits out to the house, and both times, the children were dressed appropriately and appeared to be healthy. When she did make one of her visits, however, she noticed that Jamie had scabs and sores on her face, which made her suspect drug use. So, Cindy asked Jamie to take a drug test, which Jamie did. It came back clean. However, since Jamie had taken 3 days to get the urine sample, the social worker Cindy said that she considered the drug test to be positive for drugs. That's not how that works, though. Not at all. When police had contacted Cindy, she had told them that Jamie was under investigation and she had been uncooperative. That was anything but true. The case had been closed a while ago, and Jamie had fully cooperated with the CPS investigation. So even though it was pretty clear the complaint against Jamie was baseless, the case against her would not be closed until the following year. And while Jamie does have a history of drug abuse, she says that by 2005, she had been clean for 2 years. Now, the reason that Christopher had that paperwork showing that he had filed for temporary custody of Ariana and Tyler was because he himself had called CPS in February and told the caseworker that Jamie had just left her children with him and was now trying to get them back. To which the amazing caseworker Cindy responded and told Christopher that he should try to get temporary custody of Ariana and Tyler. Cindy had suggested this even though she had never met Christopher. She didn't do a background check on him, and she didn't give him a drug test. Kind of sounds like the one that gave Harmony to Adam Montgomery. And as I had said earlier, Cindy, as well as her supervisor, had told police that the children were better off with Christopher. So it's not exactly known why the children were allowed to stay with Christopher, even though Jamie clearly had the paperwork stating that she was their legal guardian. Former CPS supervisor Christy Tarpley would later testify that officers had told her that Christopher had a signed court order giving him temporary custody of the children, and she was not able to override that document. The officers would testify that they had simply told her that Christopher had paperwork saying he applied. They had never said that it had gone through and he had custody. About a year later, on February 16th, 2007, Christopher's storage locker that he had at You Store It, which was located on the 500 block of East Prince Road, was opened up by the facility's manager after Christopher had failed to pay the rent for the locker in months. Just a few weeks prior to that, the storage facility manager had actually opened up Christopher's locker, but she had been so repelled by the rank smell that she had closed it and decided to come back and do it at a later time. And when she went to clean out Christopher's unit this time, the putrid smell was still very much present. Once she was inside the unit, the manager would find where the smell was emanating from. It was a 25-gallon plastic tote, which was very heavy, and it had flies all around it. She would throw this into the dumpster, and when she did, the lid came off and a duffel bag was visible inside. Some liquid also poured out of it. That night, the manager had told one of her friends about the plastic tote that she had discovered, as well as how bad it smelled. The friend told her there was probably a dead body in there. So on February 18th, 2 days after the tote had been found, the manager of the storage facility would call the police. And once police arrived and looked inside the tote that she had found, they would find, wrapped up in a duffel bag and black trash bags, Ariana's body. And they did not further search the dumpster that she had been thrown into. Since Ariana's body was so badly decomposed, it would take several days to identify her, and then lead detectives back to Christopher. So on March 1st, police would arrest Christopher and bring him in for questioning after they found him at a local motel. It was believed that Tyler's body had already been hauled away by a trash truck, and it was most likely now in a landfill. The landfill had been thoroughly searched at one point, but it turned up no results, and to this day, Tyler's body still has not been found. Though at one point, Christopher would tell police that he had thrown Tyler's body into the same plastic tote that Ariana's was in, but it wasn't there when they later looked. Ariana's body would undergo an autopsy, and the medical examiner would find that she had 12 broken ribs, a broken spine, and a broken shoulder. And she had been so badly decomposed that they were unable to determine her cause of death or when she had died. The coroner, however, believed that the murder had happened sometime between March and September of 2006. It was also September 6th that Christopher started renting the storage unit where Ariana's body was later found. Christopher's living girlfriend, Raina, was also arrested on one count of child abuse in Ariana's case and brought in for questioning as well. Then in May of 2007, she would be additionally charged with murder and child abuse in both children's cases. Raina would maintain her innocence, and she told police that she had actually gone away for a week, and when she returned back home, the children were gone, and she just assumed that they were back at their mother's. Raina then told investigators that back in the spring of 2006, Christopher had lost his job, which made him fall deeper into his drug addiction. He had worked driving for a medical transportation company, and then shortly after, he had also started dealing heroin. Losing his job added to his stress, and the physical and emotional abuse that his family was normally already going through at his hands only got worse. Most of the physical and possibly emotional abuse was geared towards Tyler and Ariana. Whenever Christopher thought they were misbehaving, he would savagely beat the children. He also started punishing them by withholding food and letting them go hungry. Now, when Christopher did have a job prior to him getting fired, Raina had been the one to stay at home with the 3 children. But this was a challenge that she could barely handle, and she would call Christopher multiple times every single day to complain about Ariana and Tyler. In order to keep Raina happy, or shut her up, I'm sure, Christopher, who had already been locking the children in a closet for punishment, then began locking them in a closet all day long while he was at work. Christopher would keep Ariana and Tyler in the closet more and more, until in June of 2006, they were permanently living in the closet. While Christopher at first would feed them 1 sandwich a day, after they had been in there for about a month, he stopped feeding the children altogether. He would check on them once a day, but he would never let them out to go to the bathroom or for any fresh air. So with no food, the children slowly withered away until they starved to death. Ariana had been the first one to die. In August of 2006, Christopher would later estimate. After she had passed away, her father had stuffed her body into a duffel bag and then into the tote where she would later be found. That plastic tote, before it had gone to the storage facility, had then been placed back into the closet next to Tyler, where he would sit next to his sister's dead body while he also slowly died. And only a week later, Tyler also starved to death. Raina claimed that she had seen Christopher beat the children on a number of occasions, and she also admitted that she had never done anything to contact authorities or help the children in any way. When asked why she had done nothing, she said she was too fearful for her own safety as well as Christopher Jr.'s. So instead, she had just started taking tons of drugs to numb herself. When it was Christopher's turn to be interrogated by police, he would unbelievably tell them that the children had starved themselves to death. Yeah, he said that once they found out they weren't going back to their mother's house, they stopped eating. Christopher would claim that he bought, stole, or would make food that the children would like in an attempt to get them to eat, like cream of wheat and pizza. But it was to no avail. Christopher said to police, "I would just take them the food, man. They wouldn't want to eat. I'd put it in front of them, and we'd sit down and try to watch TV, and they'd throw it. They would get mad, and they would kick and scream. It was a constant battle with them." At one point, Christopher even told detectives, "They were freaking me out how skinny they were getting. And I didn't want anyone to know that because then they would take them away for good." As they should. Eventually, Christopher told police that his children had started to look like starving Ethiopians and they had become incontinent. And when asked why Christopher did not call 911 at this point, he told police, It's not about food. They just wanted to be with their mom. Sure, Christopher, sure. At one point during the interrogation, Christopher would even tell detectives that he had given Ariana CPR for an entire day after he had found her lifeless. An entire day? Come on. That's a huge over-exaggeration. He, however, had no explanation for the broken bones that had been found in Ariana's body, saying that he never hit his children. Investigators spoke with a few people who had been over Christopher and Raina's home prior to August of 2006 when they believed the children had been murdered. A roommate who had actually moved into the Payne home in June of 2006 said that she did not even know that Ariana and Tyler were in the house. She thought the entire time that they were with their mother, though she did say she heard some strange noises coming from the closet a few times. Others close to the family claimed that on multiple occasions, Raina had expressed her dislike for Ariana and Tyler, or they had heard her verbally abuse them. One witness said that while she was on a phone call with Raina, she could hear her yelling at the kids screaming, and Raina said that she wanted to kill them. While they were living with their father, Ariana and Tyler were also visited by some of the Payne relatives. Terry White, Christopher's aunt, said that she had last seen the children when she had visited in Easter of 2006 to drop off some gifts. She described Ariana as looking thin and dirty, and when she spoke, she seemed very unhappy. And when Terry returned back to their apartment 2 months later, neither Tyler or Ariana was anywhere to be seen, and she just assumed that they were back with their mother, Jamie. Terry would also say that her nephew had never mentioned any food problems with the children or decreased appetites. In fact, he had said that Ariana would get up in the middle of the night and go searching for potato chips. Christopher also told his aunt that he would rather have custody of the children than just pay Jamie the child support. Well, yeah, because now you're probably bringing money in from the government in benefits for the 2 children instead of having to pay money out. And you don't even have to take care of them. You could just throw them in a closet. A few of the family's neighbors at the Portofino apartments had seen Christopher Jr., but they didn't even know that Ariana and Tyler existed. By the time police were finally able to search the apartment, no one was living there anymore. The Payne family had been evicted back in September, and the unit was in such poor condition and smelled so bad that the manager of the apartment complex had been unable to rent it out. In the apartment, investigators would find blood on the walls and floorboard in the closet, as well as hair and feces hidden in a cutout that was inside the wall of the closet. The closet the children had been kept in was full of trash, from ceiling to floor. There was also some blood found in a small storage shed that was kept out on the balcony. So due to aggravating circumstances in Ariana and Tyler's murders, the prosecution was seeking the death penalty for Christopher and Raina. There were 3 aggravating factors, which were that there were multiple victims, the victims were under the age of 15, and the crimes were cruel, heinous, and depraved. Eventually, Raina would agree to testify against her boyfriend Christopher in hopes of getting a lesser sentence for herself. And in August of 2008, she pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder. She was then sentenced to 22 years in prison. When Christopher went to trial in 2009, the prosecution stated that Christopher was addicted to heroin, and instead of using money to feed his children, he had used it instead to feed his heroin habit. Christopher had let Ariana and Tyler starve to death, and that was despite the fact that his other son, Christopher Jr., was perfectly taken care of. Christopher's defense's strategy was to put the entire blame on Raina. They said that Raina had starved the children to death because she had been resentful of them. One of the defense's first witnesses was Jeanette Nix, who had worked at the medical transportation company with Christopher. Jeanette testified that when Christopher had first started working for the company, Raina would occasionally call and ask when he was going to be home. Then, starting in March of 2006, the calls became much more frequent and angry, she said. As a result, Christopher would start spending more time at home during slow periods, and towards the end of his employment, he would begin calling in sick often. And Jeanette would say that when Christopher had first started working with her, he was overweight but clean cut, but had lost a lot of weight and was no longer clean-cut by the time he was fired. One witness who was testifying for the prosecution was friends with Raina. Her name was Carolina Calderon. Carolina said the last time she had seen Tyler was in the summer of 2006. He had been sitting on a dirty mattress in the living room, and he had large bruises on his right cheek as well as both his arms. He also looked very sad, she said. But she also said that she never saw Raina yell at either child. They were both well-behaved and calm. However, during cross-examination, Carolina would admit that she could see that Raina could not stand Ariana and Tyler. And she recalled a few times that Raina had showed preferential treatment towards Christopher Jr. When it was time for Raina to testify, she would deny that she called Christopher frequently while he had been at work to curse at him or threaten the children. She also denied telling one of her and Christopher's friends / drug dealers that she couldn't stand any of the children in the home other than Christopher Jr. Raina would also say that she had been scared of Christopher because he had hit her on a number of occasions. She said so many times, in fact, that she couldn't remember how many. But during a pretrial hearing, she said that he had only ever hit her twice, so... Raina also said that one time Christopher had hit their child, Christopher Jr., on the head, and she was too scared to get help for any of them. During closing arguments, Christopher Payne's public defender pleaded with the jury to convict his client of second-degree murder instead of first-degree murder, which he had been charged with. The lawyer would also ask them to spare Christopher from the death penalty, saying that his life still had value. He also said that his family still loved him, and he had had a dysfunctional childhood. Not that that matters in the least. Besides, they were still trying to argue that Raina had starved the children to death, and Christopher had nothing to do with it. However, the prosecution would tell jurors to discount many of the mitigating factors brought up by the defense, such as the fact that Christopher was unable to care for the children properly due to his heroin addiction. The fact was that Christopher had been able to do other tasks while he was taking the drug, including driving, calling his father, begging for money, selling heroin, and caring for Christopher Jr. But he was unable to care for Ariana and Tyler. Why? Prosecutor Susan Easer told the jurors that Christopher needed to be held responsible for his heinous actions. The prosecutor also said every day he locked those battered and broken babies in that closet. He chose to become a killer. Every day he watched them wither away while he went out to get high. He chose to be a killer. In March of 2009, a jury would find Christopher Payne guilty of 3 counts of child abuse, 2 counts of concealing a dead body, and 2 counts of first-degree murder. At sentencing, the jury also found that there was aggravating circumstances in Ariana and Tyler's murders, and there would be no leniency. Therefore, Christopher was handed down the death penalty. He is still on death row awaiting his execution. And Ariana and Tyler's mother, Jamie Hallam, filed a lawsuit against Child Protective Services as well as the Tucson Police Department. She alleged that their negligence had contributed to both of her children's deaths. CPS would end up admitting to mishandling the Payne children's case, citing staff shortages as the reason. They would end up paying Jamie out $1 million. Yet the lawsuit against the Tucson Police Department would end up being dismissed in October of 2010, after the court decided that there was insufficient evidence that police had known or should have known that Ariana and Tyler were not safe with their father Christopher. A memorial service was held for Ariana and Tyler Payne on Saturday, August 25, 2007, at Adair Avalon Chapel in Tucson. During the ceremony, Jamie, the children's mother, read their favorite book, Goodnight Moon, one last time, and she recited a poem that she had written for them. "They were the sunshine of my days and the starbeams of my nights," she said. "I loved them dearly on earth when they were alive and just so much more in death."